Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So a little bit about me if you don't know me. My name is Megan. This is my dog Java. He likes to appear in the videos every now and then, so please ignore him. And I was born and raised in South Africa, and I moved to the Netherlands 5 years ago with my family. I wanted to create this video today answering questions I get every time someone figures out that I'm from South Africa. These questions get asked to me specifically by Dutch people or other international people, and I thought it would be nice to make a video where I answer all these most common questions I get. So let's get into it. The first question that I get almost every time someone figures out that I'm from South Africa is, if you are from South Africa, why are you white? I think what a lot of people don't understand is South Africa is a very diverse country. There are a lot of different cultures, a lot of different races. There are African South Africans, there are white South Africans, there are colored South Africans, and we also have Indian South Africans and a lot of other cultures and racial backgrounds. My family is white, but we are South African. We do have Dutch roots. I myself am half Irish, so I have an EU passport, which is another reason why my family decided to move to the Netherlands, and luckily we had the passports to do so. But yeah, mainly what I wanted to say is that South Africa is extremely diverse. We have so many different cultures and languages. The second most asked question I get is, if you are from South Africa, do you speak Afrikaans? Just to clear one thing up, Afrikaans is not a language. Afrika means South Africa in Dutch, but we do have a language called Afrikaans, which is often what Dutch people call Afrikaans. And basically, Afrikaans is one of the many languages we have in South Africa. With the area and community where I grew up in, it was English and Afrikaans, so isiXhosa. And at school, one of the languages we had to learn was Afrikaans. So I understand Afrikaans. I took it as a second language, so it's not my first language. English is my first language, but I do have knowledge in Afrikaans, which is why it was quite easy for me to integrate here, because I can understand Dutch fluently as a result of knowing Afrikaans. There are still a few words that are different. For example, in Dutch, dankjewel means thank you, and then in Afrikaans, it's dankie. There's a few changes like that as well. An interesting fact that most people don't know is that South Africa has 12 official languages. Afrikaans is just one of the many languages there. And that's one of the things I love about South Africa, is how diverse it is in culture and languages and people. And I think that's also one of the things that makes South Africa really unique. So another thing is, why did you leave South Africa? South Africa is so beautiful. I've been to South Africa, I've been on holiday there. To that I say, I haven't lived there. Usually South Africa is very catering towards tourists, and you're very lucky if you go there and you have a good experience, because a lot of tourists don't have that similar experience. Is South Africa really that dangerous? And this is like a really difficult question to answer, because South Africa is a huge country, and I guess depending on your cultural background and where you live, your experience is different. So when answering this question, I will just be answering it based off of my personal experience. So other people may find it differently, but this is just what I experienced in the area in which I grew up in, which is Western Cape, specifically around Cape Town. So for me, safety was something that affected my everyday life. Where I lived, walking alone was not something that you could do unless you either wanted to get robbed, end up getting kidnapped, or possibly being raped. Now, I had an experience the one time where I went for a run and I was chased by a bunch of men in a car, and I had to actually run up to someone else's house to pretend that was mine and like ask them, like, please open the door, please let me in, I'm being followed. And only once I kind of got in were the people there that left me alone, and that's in itself is also really dangerous, but at that time that's kind of like what I decided to do. Yeah, public transport isn't really something that's accessible to everyone in South Africa, so mainly you take your car. As soon as you turn 18, you get a car, and that's the main transportation there for people. Cycling, like you do in the Netherlands, is not a thing unless you do it as a sport and you're with a group of people, but there's no roads for cyclists in South Africa. A car in South Africa is an essential. It's so nice being able to be in a country where I can walk alone at night if I want to, or just walk to the shop by myself now, because in South Africa that's not really something I could have done and felt safe about. It took me a while when I first moved here to stop looking over my shoulder every few seconds, because that was something I did in South Africa, and always being aware of my surroundings, and never feeling fully secure, even if I was with other people, because there's been many instances where that doesn't really matter. Yeah, and that also goes into your housing in South Africa. I mentioned this in my previous video. When you live in South Africa, 90% of the time you've got an electric fence around your house. You've got cameras or security gates, and that's to keep people out and to stop you from getting robbed. And literally a week before we moved to the Netherlands, 2 of the houses in our neighborhood, like our next door neighbors, were robbed that night. And I remember constantly like being in bed and hearing our alarm go off and being so scared and thinking, okay, someone's gonna come in and possibly hurt us just for our stuff. And yeah, we had a close encounter once. Also, when I was younger, we went out to a friend's house for dinner with my parents, and when we came back, everything in our house was gone. Yeah, I know other people who have had way worse experiences where they actually come in and tie you up and beat you up for your stuff, and then sometimes it does end up with people getting killed. Another thing, kidnapping, which was quite a big thing recently. I don't know how bad it is still, but they have high levels of kidnapping. I was supposed to go to a university in South Africa, in Stellenbosch, and there was a trend going around where they were kidnapping university students for ransom money from their parents. So it's just stuff like that where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that I live here, because I couldn't imagine something like that happening to me here. And then also, do I miss South Africa? Of course I miss South Africa. I miss the weather, I miss the people, I miss the community, I miss the food. Like, not to take away from South Africa, it's an extremely beautiful country, especially where I grew up with the sea and the mountains. But it's just unfortunate that the high levels of poverty and lack of education have created an environment where it's not so safe for everyone anymore. And no matter where I live in this world, South Africa will always be my home. Because I speak about how much I miss South Africa, and yes, the safety. People ask me, why do I leave after, like, why? So then why did you leave if you miss it so much, and if the safety could be different in different areas? This is a really personal question, and it's a difficult question for me to answer too. The truth is that, like, moving away from South Africa wasn't because I didn't love it anymore. To me, the decision came down to choosing my independence over my safety, as well as being able to experience different opportunities overseas. A lot of my friends that went to university can't find jobs now. And yeah, it's just, now that I'm here, I can get an internship, I can get a job. There's a lot more opportunities here, and it's based on different reasons, which I won't get into in this video. I wanted the freedom to walk, cycle, move around, and build a life without constantly thinking about security and watching behind my back. Of course, you still have to do that, especially as a woman in today's society, but it's not to the level as what it was when I was living in South Africa. South Africa gave me identity, it gave me my culture, it was my home, it's where I grew up. It has my memories, and it has some of my family and the values that make me who I am today. The Netherlands have given me opportunities and its independence and safety I could have never have imagined growing up in South Africa. And that's something I really appreciate, and I will never take for granted living here in the Netherlands. No matter where life takes me, a part of me will always love South Africa and be South African. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope it answered some of the questions people have about South Africa, which I get commonly asked. If you want to see more videos like this, or if you have any other questions about South Africa that you want to ask me, subscribe, like this video, and comment down your question. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.